So this is a
So
stress
this is
cycle from Dr. Liam Burke that we mentioned earlier. So he's going to discuss and explain what he usually explains with his clients in terms of the stress circle or stress cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle, but it does look like a circle. I'll get you to share this with whoever that you want. It was given to me by a psychotherapist who was a great mentor of mine when I just came out of uni and helped me to actually understand emotional intelligence. As it turns out, emotional intelligence is really a body-based thing. So as chiropractors, the best way to explain to people what's going on is in a way that they can feel and understand, which is something that people in the talk therapy space are much better at doing than we are in the space where maybe we're more good at body language rather than talking language. So that's why it's such a useful resource that I love to share with people. The stress cycle. So this is my definition of stress: any experience of overwhelm. That starts with you, and it starts in the body. A real key with this is to make sure that as you're doing it, you're drawing it out, because when people are really stressed, they don't want to hear too much information. It actually puts them out of a feeling of safety. It feels more mental overload. So if they start to do it the other way out, where it's more of an inside out approach, where they're actually letting out the stress out of their system, and then they see it really well organized, then they understand how it happened in the first place and what they need to do to come back to being themselves again. So my definition of stress is any experience of overwhelm. That starts with you, and it starts showing up in the body as joints being locked. I'm drawing this out for people as I'm doing it with them. We know that as the term subluxation, but I like to start with it in this way and then build out to that information where it's appropriate. So when your joints are locked, that starts to put you into a defense physiology. Your head comes forward and it creates tension in your spinal cord to reduce that amount of head coming forward. So basically they're gonna notice it as changes in their eating or sleeping, because they're going to be in fight or flight. So their energy levels are going to shift. And then at this point, if I was explaining it to you as a patient, you'd start to be thinking, you're thinking about it as a practitioner right now, right? Where you're going like, I'm going to remember this so I can share it with people. But instead, I want you to just, I'll send this to you. I want you to pause it. This is yours to take home. I want you to actually look at this and go, oh, I can resonate when this is happening in my life. Because we all know when fight or flight happens, it goes through the HPA axis and it spurts out excess cortisol. So what they're going to start to experience is a diaphragm issue. And when a diaphragm issue is happening, it feels like tightness in their chest. My definition of anxiety as a body sensation, like as almost as, it's not really emotion per se, it's just that feeling of being a bit on, that's tightness in the chest. Anxiety is tightness in the chest. Or if they're feeling really heavy from having too much cortisol, that's that feeling of depression, heaviness through the arms and through the legs. And after that is then when the emotions start to lock up and it starts to affect the mind. It's outside the scope of what we do as practitioners. But we need to recognize that, and they need to recognize that, because it starts to feel really numb. And when it feels really numb, it's going to then cause chronic illness, because they're going to start avoiding the area. They're going to start having all these mental things going on where it's causing more and more stress in a cycle over and over and over. So that's as short as the stress cycle is. And then what's important about it is when you go through it with a person, and this is what I'd really invite people to do, is not so much look at this as something that's like a piece of information, but more something that they can see. Oh, hey, this is where I've been experiencing this here. Oh, this is all build up from here. So I need to move through this way. It makes sense. We want to put in the context for that person. And
Mm,
that's what it's all about, so that they can come back to being themselves again, feeling relaxed in the body and still in the mind.
mm. It's great. Simple for them to understand and put pictures together.
And you pick your target. What I do
Your
is I
target.
start, yeah, in terms of the communication you use, because you want to find the place where there's that rapport, and that could be
Mm,
different language. For guys who are, I'm really passionate about men's mental health. For
mm,
guys, it's often science,
mm.
and
Like the
it's
logic
not, they
brain.
don't want to talk about emotions. Whereas for other people, it's just normally I start drawing this out, and then they stop me and they start talking about what's going on for them.
Okay.
That's the point of it.
Okay. That's the
Yeah,
point of it. Okay.
yeah, and that's why it
Ah.
doesn't work in this context quite right, because
Yeah.
you're thinking about the recording. You don't want to talk about like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like, and you've probably got a
Mm.
different mind process.
Very
Whereas if
interesting.
you were sitting in that chair talking with me, you'd be like, oh my God.
It
I
clicks.
do eat more sugary food when I'm stressed. I know all the science behind that too. But oh, but what if I can actually catch myself doing that? Now, we know that here, all you need to do is just have a massage and relax the body. How often are we doing that as practitioners? I try and do it every 3 weeks, but
Yeah.
it becomes essential when you're moving through. This is actually PTSD. Not
Mm.
that I'd use the language with people, because unless I need to,
Yeah.
because it's outside my. And above that's phobia. So this is pain science over here, but it's actually on an emotional level.
Mm.
Um, like
Mm.
Lorimer Mosley, who's really good pain science from Sydney, not a chiropractor or anything like that, but is in
Mm.
pain science. He would talk about getting bitten by a snake,
Mm.
and
Mm.
then
Yeah.
rolling. He thought it was a stick scratching him, but 10 minutes later he was almost dying. Got
Yeah.
to the hospital, anti-venom, all good. And then he goes back to that same location a year later, gets scratched by a stick this time. He's immediately on the ground, rolling over, having a phobia experience,
Mm.
because his body thinks that a
Mm.
stick scratching him in that spot, in that context,
Yeah.
is illness, right? But
Yeah.
then he goes, "Oh, it's actually just a stick. It's not a tiger snake."
Mm.
So that's how that works. The context that we focus on as chiropractors is actually here, with diaphragm nervous system regulation, that's more complex than just something you can fix with a quick bit of exercise or moving it through your body.
Mm.
But
That's
all that, medication, talk therapy, all it floods through in really traumatic people when you get their body moving. And then you're like, I don't know why I'm crying just sitting in your office. And it's like, it's okay. You're just letting it out of your system.
yeah, it's good that you explain to them also though, because some people think it's just weird when you're just crying in a chiropractic office.
Yeah.
So yeah.